Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Coffee with Craig, where we talk about all things firearms and Second Amendment in politics, culture, movies, you name it. We talk about it right here on Coffee with Craig. Please remember to take a moment to like and share this feed, whether you're listening to us via video through YouTube or Facebook, or whether you're listening to us on Apple iTunes, Apple Podcast, iTunes, Google Play, you name it. Please take a moment to like and share so that your friends can join in the conversation as it's happening. I want to take a quick second to apologize to you folks. I realized that yesterday's video, the mic audio got cut off partway through. I have absolutely no idea why, and unfortunately, that's the one thing I do not hear in my headphones is my own audio, because trying to talk to yourself and hear yourself, it's a hard thing to do. And as many of you know, I am both in front of and behind the camera at the same time. So sometimes stuff like that happens. I appreciate, number one, your understanding, but I also appreciate the fact that you guys let us know, because you guys, that input, that level of input actually helps make the show better. So thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate it. Please keep it up. Please keep it up. Also, finally, please remember to visit fbcgear.com. That's fbcgear.com. Great place to go buy cool T-shirts, hoodies, coffee mugs. Every dollar that you spend there goes right back into the fight for our constitutional right to keep and bear arms, support the Second Amendment, and look good doing it. That's fbcgear.com. All right. Now that we've paid the bills, let's get into our topic. We're going to be talking about a constitutional right. We're going to be talking about the constitutional right to keep and bear arms. Now, many of you have heard about the concept of a sanctuary state. Now, in many, many places, or in many concerns, or the way the mainstream media talks about it, they're talking about a sanctuary state when it comes to illegal immigration or the enforcement of immigration laws. Some states have decided, like California, that they are not going to comply with, or at least work with, for the federal government when it comes to the enforcement of immigration law because, well, they just don't like it. Well, there's actually a movement afoot along the same lines, only dealing with the Second Amendment. And it's not because they just don't like the laws, the gun laws that are being proposed by the federal government, but because they, in fact, violate their constitutional right to keep and bear arms as they see it in their state. Now, one particular state that we're going to talk about is going to be the state of Pennsylvania. And the state of Pennsylvania actually has a Second Amendment that reads a little stricter than even the Second Amendment protections or the personal defense or the defense protections that are included in our Constitution. In their state constitution, it's even stricter. Well, in Pennsylvania, a gentleman, Representative, let's look here because I want to make sure I do not mispronounce his name, Darrell Metcalf. He's a Republican out of Cranberry Township. Has introduced a bill. It's House Bill 357. You guys get it? 357. Those of you who don't get it, you'll get it later. But he's introduced this measure, which has, by the way, he introduced it on September 5th. It has 41 bipartisan co-sponsors. Now, he's introduced this legislation before. He introduced it back in 2013, and it didn't have as much support as it has right now. But this is once again, this is a very interesting piece of legislation because, in essence, what it does is it penalizes folks for, or at least people who are there in the state for violating or enforcing laws that violate our constitutional right. Now, I couldn't find any recent video on him talking about it, but once again, it's the same measure introduced back in 2013. So here is Representative Metcalf talking about his measure, House Bill 357, back in 2013.
Through violation of our states' rights, our Second Amendment, violating Article 1, Section 21 of our Pennsylvania Constitution if they move forward with more gun control, which is the right to bear arms section of the Pennsylvania Constitution. For anyone that hasn't read it, it's more strongly worded than the Second Amendment, because in the Article 1, Section 21 of the Pennsylvania Constitution, it states that something to the effect that the rights of the citizens to bear arms in defense of themselves in the state shall not be questioned. Shall not be questioned. It's very clear that we should not have our rights questioned. But since Sandy Hook incident that occurred and other incidents that have occurred, we continue to see, once again, those that are trying to take advantage and utilize those horrific murders for their agenda to disarm Americans of their God-given right to bear arms in defense of themselves, their property, their family, their state, their country. We, in Harrisburg, of course, we deal with the state level of the government, and as Garth had mentioned, originally we gave power to the USA. The USA didn't give power to the states created the feds, right? I mean, the states are the creator. The states are ultimately the level of government that should be the most powerful and have the most ability to protect its citizens and do what's right policy-wise in the various states. And we need to remind them of that. And that's what House Bill 357 is going to do, is to remind them that we are not going to stand by and watch the rights of our citizens violated.
Exactly. They don't want to see them violated. Now, he was talking about shootings that occurred back then. This is well before Parkland or Orlando or San Bernardino. Those were shootings that occurred then. So you know that a number of pieces of legislation in Pennsylvania as well as in other states have been offered and proposed. Some have actually been passed, which once again infringe on the constitutional rights. In this case, both the Pennsylvania and the federal constitutional right to keep and bear arms. And now, he talked about it is going to remind them. Well, here is exactly how it is, in fact, going to remind them. It actually reads, this is the penalty. An official or agent or employee of the federal government, the Commonwealth, or a political subdivision who enforces or attempts to enforce federal law under subsection A commits a felony in the third degree, and upon conviction shall be subject to imprisonment for not less than 1 year or more than 7 years, a fine of not more than $15,000 or both. So as you can see, they're not playing. This is not a joke in their eyes. And this is, by the way, this is not the only state where this has been proposed. I don't know how many states this is actually passed in, but this is not the first state in which this idea has been put forward. And I think it's important. I think it's important if for no other reason than an official needs to probably take a moment and read the Constitution, whether it's the state constitution or the federal constitution, before they take office or before they decide to run for office. Because, a lot of people really don't take the time to know and understand when they take that oath of office what they are standing up for. And it is amazing to me. It is frustrating to me how many times they actually then step up and seek to violate our constitutional rights. And actually, the representative actually has an instance where he encountered this with one of his colleagues there in the Pennsylvania legislature. Oh, there we go. Okay, here we go. Now here it goes. Is it going to go? No, you are going to go. And now. Okay, we're going to go to you, then we're going to come back to here, and then we're going to go now. Really? Oh, come on, man. Why are you not working?